Fighting with the swords, gone. Playing with the brain, on. Let's play Giraffe Chess Hattrick League Season 3.
International Giraffe Chess Federation presents Hattrick League Season 3 between 10 Proddatur teams. Hello everyone, welcome to India's new 68 squad Giraffe Chess Academy Proddatur, and welcome to the live telecast of no draws, no resigns, only win or lose in just 70 moves Giraffe Chess Hattrick League 2024 Season 3. Let us watch Hattrick League 11th match between Proddatur Spartans versus Proddatur Rhinos. Each team consists of 3 players. Whoever team all outs opponent all 3 players is the match winners. Let us see the toss at the center of the court.
Head is the call from Proddatur Rhinos. Yes. Head. Toss won by the Proddatur Rhinos team. What will select?
Black side.
Proddatur Rhinos team, they won the toss and elected to play on black side.
And in toss, Proddatur Rhinos team, they won the toss and opted to play on black side. And here is the both teams lineup. For Proddatur Spartans team, Jaswant is the opener and Tejas is the second player and Nawaz comes to play as third player. And for Proddatur Rhinos team, Ganesh is the opener and Mohit is the second player and Charatej comes to play as third player. Now, let us watch first game of the match between Proddatur Spartans team opening player Jaswant versus Proddatur Rhinos team opening player Ganesh. Let us see among these 2 players who will win this game and who will do hat-trick and who will be the hat-trick hero of today's great match. Let us watch. Let us move on to the court. Young scholar Abadi, Proddatur Spartans team opening player Jaswant is ready to play on white side. Let us see on other side of the court. 3 times hat-trick hero, best scholar Abadi, Proddatur Rhinos team opening player Ganesh is ready to play on black side.
Okay. Now we can see both players are ready to start game 1 of the match. Black side player Ganesh is ready to hit the clock. Yes, he hit the clock. Game 1 started.
Pawn to e3, pawn to e5, pawn to d4, pawn to e4, pawn to f3, pawn to d5, knight to h3, pawn to f5, bishop to g5 and check to blocking, pawn to c6, bishop to e2, queen to h4 and check to white king, knight to f2, queen to g5, giraffe to c3, bishop to b4, bishop to d2, bishop capture giraffe at c3, bishop capture bishop at c3, giraffe to d6, bishop to d2, queen capture pawn at g2, king to d0, queen to g6, knight to a3, queen to h6, giraffe to b1, giraffe capture pawn to e3, king to e1, pawn to f4, knight to g4, queen to h4 and check to white king, knight to f2, giraffe to f6, giraffe to d0 illegal, giraffe to e0, pawn to e3, bishop to c3,
Ganesh immediately captured knight at
captured
f2
knight at F2
and
and
set check to white king.
and it
It
said
is
checkmate.
not only check, it is a checkmate win to Ganesh. What is superb checkmate win to Ganesh. Jaswant out. Proddatur Spartans team opening player Jaswant out. Ganesh with this win he won the first game and still needed two wins to do hat-trick and become hat-trick hero of today's great match.
Now, let us watch second game of the match between Proddatur Rhinos team opening player Ganesh versus Proddatur Spartans team second player Tejesh. Let us see among these two players who will win this game and who will do hat-trick and who will be the hat-trick hero of today's great match. Among these two players, Ganesh already won the first game and now playing for winning second game. Let us watch what will happen. Let us move on to the court. 3 times hat-trick hero, best scholar awardee, Proddatur Rhinos team opening player Ganesh is ready to play on black side. Let us see on other side of the court. Young scholar awardee, Proddatur Spartans team second player Tejesh is ready to play on black.
Now we can see both players are ready to start game 2 of the match. Black side player Tejas is ready to hit the clock. Yes, he hit the clock. Game 2 started.
pawn to e4, pawn to h6, pawn to c3, pawn to e6, pawn to d4, pawn to d5, pawn to e5, pawn to f6, queen to h5 and check to black king, king to e7, giraffe to d3, giraffe to c6, giraffe to g4, queen to e8, queen, capture queen at e8 and check to black king, king capture queen at e8, knight to a3, pawn capture pawn at e5, pawn capture pawn at e5, knight to e7, knight to b5, king to d8, knight to d4, giraffe to d9, giraffe to f7, pawn to c5, giraffe, capture bishop at c8, pawn capture knight at d4, giraffe to b5, king to c7, giraffe capture rook at a8, giraffe capture giraffe at a8, pawn capture pawn at d4, knight to c6, bishop to e3, bishop to b4 and check to white king, giraffe to c3, bishop to e7, pawn to a3, bishop to g5, bishop capture bishop at g5, pawn capture bishop at g5, pawn to h3, rook to h4, pawn to f3, pawn capture pawn at d4, king to d2, knight to b3 and check to white king, king to d1, knight capture rook at a1, pawn to g3, rook to d4 and check to white king, king to e0, knight to c2, knight to e2, knight to d3, knight capture rook at d4, giraffe to b5, bishop capture giraffe at b5, pawn to a6, bishop to d3, knight to c6, knight capture pawn at e6 and check to black king, king to d7, knight to c5 and check to black king, king to e7, knight to b3, knight capture pawn at e5, giraffe to b6 and check to black king, king to d6, giraffe capture knight at e5, king capture giraffe at e5, rook to e1, giraffe to d6, pawn to h4, pawn to g4, pawn to f4 and check to black king, king to f6, king to d0, knight to g2, rook to e2, knight to e3, king to c1, pawn to d4, knight capture pawn to d4, king to e6 illegal, king to e7, knight to f5 on check to black king, king to d7, knight capture giraffe at d6, king capture knight at d6, rook capture knight at e3, king to d5, rook to e4, pawn to b5, king to c2, king to c5, Pawn to b4 and check to blocking. Pawn to a5 illegal. King to b6, king to c3, pawn to g6, king to d4, pawn to g5, pawn capture pawn at g5, king to c6, king to e5, king to d7, king to f6, king to d8, king to f7, king to d9, king to f8.
Now we can see
King to
Ganesh is just
C8,
one step away to
king
win
to
by
E9,
crowning. Yes, he moved his
crowning
king to
win.
E9 and won the game by crowning. What a superb crowning win to Ganesh. And Tejesh out. Proddatur Spartans team, second player, Tejesh out. Ganesh, with this win, he won continuously 2 games and still need one more win to do Hattrick and become Hattrick hero of today's great match.
Now, let us watch third game of the match between Proddatur Rhinos team opening player Ganesh versus Proddatur Spartans team last player Nawaz. Let us see among these two players who will win this game and who will do hat-trick and who will be the hat-trick hero of today's great match. Among these two players, Ganesh already won continuously 2 games and now playing third game for doing hat-trick. Let us see what will happen. Let us move on to the court. 3 times hat-trick hero, best scholar awardee, Proddatur Rhinos team opening player Ganesh is ready to play on black side.
Okay.
Let us see on other side of the court, best scholar awardee, Proddatur Spartans team last player Nawaz is ready to play on white side.
Now we can see both players are ready to start game 3 of the match. Black side player Ganesh is ready to hit the clock. Yes, he hit the clock. Game 3 started.
Pawn to d4, pawn to d6, pawn to c4, pawn to d5, pawn to e3, pawn capture pawn at c4, bishop capture pawn at c4, knight to f6, knight to c3, knight to c6, knight to f3, bishop to g4, pawn to h3, bishop capture knight at f3, queen capture bishop at f3, giraffe to e6, queen to e2, pawn to b5, knight capture pawn at b5, giraffe capture knight at b5, bishop capture giraffe at b5, queen to d6, queen to f3, queen to b4 and check to white king, bishop to d2, queen capture bishop at d5, pawn to a4, queen to b7, rook to c1, king to d7, giraffe to d3, pawn to e6, rook capture knight at c6, rook to c8, rook to d6 and check to black king, bishop capture rook at d6, queen capture queen at b7, knight to d5, pawn to e4, knight to b6, bishop to g5, pawn to f6, bishop to e3, rook to b8, queen to c6 and check to black king, king to e7, pawn to e5, bishop to b4 and check to white king, king to e2, knight to d5, queen capture pawn at e6 and check to black king, king to f8, Queen capture knight at d5. Pawn to c6. Queen capture pawn at c6. Pawn capture pawn at e5. Pawn capture pawn at e5. Rook to d8. Bishop to c5 and check to blocking. Bishop capture bishop at c5. Queen capture bishop at c5 and check to blocking. King to f7. Pawn to f4. Pawn to h6. Queen capture pawn at a7 and check to blocking. King to g6. Giraffe to c5. Rook to f8. Pawn to g4. Rook capture pawn at f4. Rook to f1. Rook capture rook at f1. King capture rook at f1. King to g5. Queen to f7. King to h4. King to g2. Pawn to g5.
Now Nawaz immediately
Queen to
moved
h5
his
and
queen
check
to
to
h5
blocking
and
and
said check to black king. It is not only check, it is a checkmate win to Nawaz. What a superb checkmate win to Nawaz. Ganesh out. Proddatur, Rhinos team, opening player Ganesh out. And great disappointment for Ganesh. Actually, he lost greatest hat-trick. It is very unfortunate. He is out by checkmate by Nawaz. Nawaz with this win, he won the first game and still need two more wins to do hat-trick and become hat-trick hero. On one side, Ganesh, he lost the hat-trick chance. On other side, Nawaz, now he gained the hat-trick chance.
Now, let us watch fourth game of the match between Proddatur Spartans team last player Nawaz versus Proddatur Rhinos team second player Mohit Reddy. Let us see who will win this game. If Mohit Reddy wins this game, his Proddatur Rhinos team won the match. If Nawaz wins this game, match will be tied with 2-all games and go for fifth game for result. Let us move on to the court. 7 times hat-trick hero, best scholar awardee, Proddatur Spartans team last player Nawaz is ready to play on black side. Let us see on other side of the court. Best scholar awardee, Proddatur Rhinos team second player Mohit Reddy is ready to play on white side.
Now we can see both players are ready to start. Game 4 of the match. Black side player Nawaz is ready to hit the clock. Yes, he hit the clock. Game 4 started.
Pawn to e3, pawn to c5, pawn to d3, pawn to e5, pawn to e4, pawn to d6, pawn to c4, knight to f6, pawn to f3, pawn to a6, pawn to h3, pawn to b5, pawn to b3, pawn to b4, pawn to a4, pawn to a5, bishop to a5, pawn to h6, bishop captured knight at f6, giraffe captured bishop at f6, pawn to g3, giraffe captured pawn at g3, knight to e2, queen to h4, giraffe to g1, giraffe to d4 and check to white king, king to d2, queen to g5 and check to white king, king to c2, knight to c6, queen to d2, bishop to e7, queen capture queen at g5, bishop capture queen at g5, pawn to f4, pawn capture pawn at f4, knight capture pawn at f4, bishop capture knight at f4, giraffe capture bishop at f4, pawn to g5, giraffe to g1, giraffe to e6, bishop to e2, rook to f8, bishop to g4, giraffe to h7, bishop capture bishop at c8, rook capture bishop at c8, giraffe to d2, pawn to f5, rook to f1, pawn to f4, knight to d0, pawn to h5, knight to e2, king to e7, giraffe to h1, rook to f7, giraffe to g1, pawn to f3, knight to d0, rook to f8, giraffe to e0, pawn to g4, pawn capture pawn at g4, pawn capture pawn at g4, giraffe to d2, pawn to g3, rook to g1, pawn to f2, rook to g2, pawn to f8, rook capture queen at f1, rook capture rook at f1, knight capture rook at f1, rook capture knight at f1, giraffe capture pawn at g3, Giraffe capture giraffe at g3. Rook capture giraffe at g3. Knight to d4 and check to white king. King to d2. King to e6. King to e3. King to e5. Rook to g5 and check to black king. King to f6. Rook to g3. Rook to e1 and check to white king. King to f4. Knight to e2 and check to white king. King to f3. Knight capture rook at g3. King capture knight at g3. Rook capture giraffe at e0. King to h4. Rook to e3. King to h5. Rook to g3. King to h6. King to e5. King capture giraffe at h7. King to d4. Pawn to e5. King to e3. Pawn to e6. King to d2. Pawn to e7. King to d1. King pawn to e8. Pawn equal to queen.
Now we can see Nawaz is just
King
one step
to
away to win
d0.
by crowning. Yes, he
Crowning
moved
win.
his king to d0 and won the game by crowning. What a superb crowning win to Nawaz. Proddatur, Rhinos team, second player, Mohit out. And with this out, Rhinos lost the second player. Now Ganesh, he is out, first player, and Mohit, second player out. And whereas Nawaz, he won by this game, he won continuously 2 games and still needed one more win to do hat-trick and become hat-trick hero of today's great match.
Now, let us watch most important match winning deciding fifth game of the match between Proddatur Spartans team last player Nawaz versus Proddatur Rhinos team last player Charantes. So far, both teams won 2 games. Now, whoever team player wins this fifth game, they are the match winners. Let us watch what will happen. If Nawaz wins this game, it will be hat-trick to the Nawaz and he will be the hat-trick hero of today's great match. Let us move on to the court. 7 times hat-trick hero, best scholar awardee, Proddatur Spartans team last player Nawaz is ready to play on white side. Let us see on other side of the court. Proddatur Rhinos team last player Charantes is ready to play on black side.
Now we can see both players are ready to start. Game 5 of the match. Black side player Charan Tej is ready to hit the clock. Yes, he hit the clock. Game 5 started.
Pawn to d4. Pawn to e6. Pawn to c4. Bishop to d6. Pawn to e4. Queen to f6. Pawn to e5. Queen to g6. Pawn capture bishop at d6. Giraffe capture pawn at d6. Knight to f3. Knight to f6. Knight to c3. Giraffe capture knight at c3. Giraffe capture giraffe at c3. pawn to d5, pawn to c5, queen to f5, bishop to d3, queen to h5, pawn to h3, pawn to g5, bishop captured pawn at g5, knight to e5, pawn to g4, queen to g6, bishop to f4, pawn to e5, knight capture pawn to e5, queen to g7, pawn to f3, knight to f6, queen to d2, king to d8, bishop to g5, rook to e8, queen to f4, knight to d7, king to d2, knight capture knight at e5, bishop capture knight at f6, queen capture bishop at f6, queen capture queen at f6 and check to black king, rook to e7, pawn capture knight at e5, pawn to d4, giraffe to f4, bishop to e6, queen capture rook at e7 and check to black king, king to c8.
Now Nawaz immediately moved his queen to
e8 and check to black
e8
king,
and
and
said
it's a
check to
checkmate.
black king. It is not only check, it is a checkmate win to Nawaz. What is superb checkmate win to Nawaz. Cherentej out. Proddatur Rhinos team last player Cherentej out. And with this out, Proddatur Rhinos team all out and lost the match. Whereas Nawaz, with this win, he won continuously 3 games and did a hat-trick and became hat-trick hero of today's great match. And this is Nawaz's 8th hat-trick in hat-trick league. Congratulations, 8 times hat-trick hero Nawaz. Hello everyone. Welcome to Giraffe Chess Hattrick League 2024 Season 3. Just now, between Proddatur Spartans versus Proddatur Rhinos. Today, Hattrick hero of today's match goes to Nawaz. Congratulations Nawaz. Just now, match successfully completed. In this match, Nawaz became Hattrick hero by 126 moves. He all out all three players of opponent's team, Proddatur Rhinos team. Now, International Giraffe Chess Federation giving away 500 rupees cash prize for the Hattrick. Congratulations Nawaz. Now, on this occasion, let us have a small interview. Nawaz, he did Hattrick today by all out the opponent, all three players by 126 moves. 121 moves. In the first game, he out Ganesh by checkmate 40 moves. First, you out Ganesh by 40 moves, isn't it? In that, what is the best move?
In 26th move, in 26th move, నేను నా పవర్స్ని చంపించుకోకుండా నేను గణేష్ పవర్స్ చంపడం వల్ల గేమ్ గెలిచాను.
Very good. So that is the first best move, winning of the first game 1. Now let us go for the game 2. In game 2, Nawaz out opponent player Challenge by checkmate 26 moves. So second game is very crucial and Challenge is a very good player even though Nawaz out by checkmate. What is the good move?
ఛాలెంజ్ పవర్స్ని డెవలప్ చేసుకోవడం వల్ల పవర్ టు పవర్ ఇచ్చి ఛాలెంజ్ని ఓడించి గేమ్ గెలిచాను.
Very good. So that is the secret of game 2, winning of game 2. Let us move to the game 3. Nawaz in game 3, he played with a very good player Mohit. Mohit is well known to Giraffe Chess. He is a very good player, outstanding player, but without feeling any nervous, any tension, Nawaz he completed Mohit 55 moves crowning. So what is the best move in that?
నేను సీనియర్ ప్లేయర్ కావడం వల్ల నా మెజర్స్ ఉపయోగించి మోహిత్ పవర్స్ని చంపుకుంటూ గేమ్ గెలిచాను.
Okay, so that is the 3 best games. He won. He all out opponent Rhinos team and did a Hattrick. So very good Hattrick. Congratulations Hattrick hero Nawaz. This is the 7th Hattrick in the game Hattrick League 1 and 2. Totally he did 6 Hattricks. This is the 7th one. 7th Hattrick in Hattrick League. So whom you dedicate this Hattrick? To your parents or teachers or friends? To the parents. Okay, all the best for the next matches.
And finally, here is the today's Hattrick hero Nawaz scorecard. In game 1, he outs Ganesh by checkmate in 40 moves. In game 2, he outs Challenge in 26 moves by checkmate. In game 3, he outs Mohit by crowning in 55 moves. Totally, Nawaz did Hattrick in just 121 moves. Congratulations Hattrick hero Nawaz. All the best for the next matches. And here is the points table after 11 matches. Let us see what are the top 4 teams. Proddatur Kings with 4 points stands in first position. Proddatur Chirtas with 4 points stands in second position. Proddatur Spartans with 4 points stands in third position. Proddatur Panthers with 2 points stands in fourth position. Each team after playing 9 games, final points are calculated for the top 4 positions. Then top 4 teams qualify for the playoffs.